Yep.
Okay.
It's,
First of all, do I sign this? Is there a motion?
I'll move that article, or milfoil
Yeah.
grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And there's several places I sign, correct?
I think there's just one place you signed, but let me double check it. The other stuff is all stuff for the milfoil committee signature.
Who initials those pages?
That would be me.
Okay.
So
As
it's
the
on-
committee member?
yeah. So
Yep.
I think that's the place that you sign, and the rest of them are things that I sign.
Karen, can I show you something?
Sure.
Is this a typo?
Yes, that is a typo. That's her typo. It's Amy's typo.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
I'd say, yeah.
Yes. I corrected it when I forwarded it, but I didn't correct it down below.
Oh,
Do I circle it or just leave it?
Just ignore it, I think.
yeah, it's just an
The
email.
paperwork is all right. She sends everybody that gets the grant
Yep.
the same email, and she just didn't change the header on it.
It was just that
A ball
typo
slate,
there.
yeah. Yep. Yep, okay. So, that's good. And I will cover the rest of this with, with Karen afterwards,
Okay.
all right?
I have nothing more in the red folder.
Can we
Go ahead.
do the revenues?
Yes.
You guys do revenue.
Okay. Bill mentioned changing the milfoil line to $1,000. And I'm gonna recommend that we currently have in the miscellaneous line $2,850.
Mhm.
Does that include the trade value of Jack's truck? I don't think it does. So I'm gonna make a motion that on,
But that would actually go in 3501.
I'm sorry, would it?
Yeah, it's sale of town property.
Tax deeded property?
Well, if you look at the categories, we're calling it tax deeded property, but it's,
Okay.
that account
That's
is
fine.
sale of town property.
So 54.
So,
So if we were to increase the milfoil line to 1,000, that's an additional $400.
yeah,
And if we increase the tax property sale by $4,000, which I think is a reasonable amount for that, we've increased the whole operating budget revenue by $4,400.
okay,
And we need to eliminate in the reduced taxes lines the $50,000 revenue.
yeah,
So that would change our warrant article revenue offset subtotal to $1,968,000. And our total grand total to $3,144,875. And the operating budget subtotal, I jumped around, I apologize.
No problem.
7,2,475 plus 4,400. The operating budget revenue offset total would be $1,176,875. And I think those are the only three changes that we need to make. And maybe on Monday, so I'll make a motion to make those changes.
second,
All those in favor?
aye.
So Monday, we should have a clean warrant and a clean revenue.
Good.
And for your upcoming budget meeting, what more do we need to, decisions we need to make to have you prepared?
guess. That'll be
The what?
from our.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think we're.
I think we're good.
Anything on budgets you'd like to speak on?
No, I have a list of budgets we'll be reviewing
Mhm.
and a list of warrant articles we'll be reviewing.
Yeah, I think some of, I mean, and obviously it's your committee, but any of these that we've had these big splits on, I think we really need to nail those down. And if there's gonna be a big split, maybe
Well, then there's. a
we
big
have to have a
split.
different strategy going forward.
Exactly.
Because there's been consensus on everything with the exception of the library, which Bill recused himself from.
Mhm.
Well, it's a work in progress. It's meant to
It's
move along. I have-
democratic process at its finest.
I have one thing I wanted to bring up as chairman. January 7th was the anniversary date of Clay Gallagher, and we need to do a job performance review for him.
Mhm.
Karen's is February 8th. And as I look at merit increases, I look at there's 3 areas, and how do you guys want to handle this? Number one is actually doing in a timely fashion when each employee's needs theirs done. That's number one. Number two is, remember we had a discussion about merit increase isn't just merely
Versus steps.
showing up,
Mhm.
type thing. So at some point before town meeting, we need to have that discussion, correct? And however you guys want to handle that.
Do you want to do a non-public on next Monday and do those two job reviews? And we have to do them at some point in time.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'd rather not continually have Friday work sessions if you can avoid
Right,
it.
I think that's agreeable. The other thing is, at some point, we on down the road, we were going to revisit, and it may be after town meeting, the concept of when we issue merit increases
Right.
on anniversary dates. We discussed that, and that was a sticking point for a lot of people. And we had some problems
Right.
with hurting people, so.
Right. And I think we've got some time
Yep.
in the spring when we can chat about that. I mean, we spend an awful lot of time on the budget, which is
Yep.
a big part of the job.
Yes. So you're all set for the items for Monday, Karen?
Yep, thank you.
Anything else, Karen,
No thanks, I think we got it. Yep.
anything else we can do to help you with your budgets? Thank you for your
I think we're
yeoman's work.
fine. I think I'll have a discussion on Monday, or when's our meeting?
6th, on Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, about the impact on the taxes.
I would appreciate that.
And and Helen and I can argue about percentages after the meeting's over.
Maybe
Anything
we could
that-
just add a line.
I have one other item
Go ahead.
today. We had an email from Doug Smithwood regarding solar photovoltaic. He came and made a presentation to us last February about putting a PV system in. And there were some obstacles at that time. We were looking at the potential to have a system that would provide some benefit to low and moderate income people in town, some of whom are currently on a program where they get electric energy assistance that's administered through Tri-County CAP. I sat with Doug a little bit yesterday, and he went through the current program. The Public Utility Commission is putting together, apparently this morning, they're having a session where they're looking at a grant award program, like in March of this year, for solar photovoltaic systems, particularly oriented toward low and moderate income households. We have some individuals here in town who are particularly interested in in working toward that sort of a
And how,
arrangement.
how is that managed? Is it through the co-op?
Well,
I mean, how do-
my understanding, and again, Doug has worked with a number of these systems, and he's very conversant in it. And some of the individuals in town who have PV systems themselves have been through it. What he is suggesting is an array up at Central Park, up on the hill, next to the cemetery, that would be of sufficient size to provide 30 to 40% of the fire station's electrical requirement. That what he's proposing is that we would write a grant application, and that if the grant is awarded, all of the cost of doing the installation would be paid for from the grant, about $150,000. The system would be administered by a third-party nonprofit and would sell power to the town at the fire station at a fixed agreed-to below-market rate. And the money that they take from selling the power to the town then gets rolled toward subsidizing low and moderate income electricity users. Now, the only way I see that this is going to work is we're not going to do the work to get that thing done. It will have to be a group of individuals who have the time and inclination to move it forward, but I think it merits.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it seems like a sort of a Byzantine process to get to the poor people.
Well,
And
it
I'm
is.
wondering if there isn't an easier,
Well, one of the things that happens, my understanding, as it relates to power generation, if I generate power and I use that power, that's great, all right? If I sell it to the co-op, then I sell them power at the same price they would pay anybody that they buy power from, okay? Which is just the actual power charge, like what we buy from our power supplier. And so if I'm generating it here and I'm using it at the other end of the co-op's wires, I pay the co-op a distribution fee, a transmission fee, okay, which are some fairly big numbers in the grand scheme of things. So where the numbers work the best is where you use it, where you generate it, which is why Doug is focused on the fire station, because that's our biggest power user.
I haven't, stayed up to speed on this completely, but is net metering not in play anymore?
It is, but it's not, net metering is not full retail rate. In other words,
So it's supposed to be a full offset of your charge.
well,
for the power.
that was only up to a certain total amount.
Okay.
All right, and that's been, that's fully subscribed.
Yeah.
In other words, when it was originally put in place, there was a maximum amount of power generation that could be set up that way. And so anything now is, if new users coming on don't get full retail
So
for
you're
what
not
they
getting
can sell.
net meter, you're getting
Right.
a wholesale value for your power created.
Right.
Which is, I'm not against that, but it's
Just-
all, it's so much in flux. I mean, I read in the paper just last week that, all of a sudden Reggie is an exciting concept to the current board of, or a bunch of Republican representatives we had. And they were trying to get rid of Reggie forever, our participation in that. But that, and then when I read about Ackworth, I think it was, New Hampshire.
Yes.
and they put in a big solar array. It'd be interesting to know
Durham is another one.
what their financial structure is. In
Yeah.
other words, how's the money travel? And how does it benefit? I mean, I think I like the idea of benefiting But we may wanna look at benefiting the whole town, who knows? I mean, it might be, the economy of scale might generate a bigger bang for the buck with not so much investment. I mean, there's a lot of grant money out there.
Yeah,
I mean, we might wanna put in a bigger array, push out more power, create more benefit. Yeah, can you have?
A number of towns have used the unproductive capped landfill and have put
Yeah.
the structures there.
and we talked about that, and it's an ideal place for one.
But where's power go?
But we don't use a lot of power at the transfer station, okay? So again, full value for the power is when you use it, you don't ever put it in the grid. Once you put it in the grid, then it's only worth what the utility pays to anybody else they buy power from, which is just a portion of what you pay.
Right.
And, you know, the distribution system and all that has costs associated with it, so yeah, there's some rationale there. Anyway, so with your permission, I would like to have a group work on this thing and move it along toward, you know, doing a grant application. And it would be with no involvement of town money. It would be, now the unit as currently envisioned would be on town property. So we'd have to work through how all that works.
Yeah, I think that part of it's, the goal would be not to have town money involved to make it all grant money. I'm not opposed to having the town invest in some solar projects. I mean, it's just,
Be a co-partner.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yep.
And it's not gonna get any better.
So, and Doug has offered to sit with the whole board, and I think that would be great.
Yeah.
The problem is he has a day job.
What's up with, there's no future in working. I told people that.
I had a question for Karen. Karen, Mr. and Mrs. Newcomb, a month ago, sent us a letter with pictures about Shirley Way. Did the selectman or the road agent or anybody ever respond out of courtesy to them?
I have, yep.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just didn't
And
want
saying that it's been part of your discussions and
Okay.
things, yeah.
Anything else for the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
A second?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So it's new and exciting.